We're here at the Benvenuto Brunello, the second time Montalcino shows the new vintage, this time 2019 in London and simultaneously in other cities around the US. The 2019 vintage has really star quality. The consortium already gave it its highest score of 5 stars. Normally we're quite skeptical about the system, but this time it's fully worth it and fully correct. The wines show an immense elegance. Perhaps they don't have the same extraction as 2016. Perhaps the tannins are a bit more velvety, but the balance is absolutely spectacular of most of the wines. From an aging point of view, I think it looks like you could already drink them now, and so for Christmas that would be great, but they only come out next year on the 1st of January. But I do think that the real complexity and depth will come with the next 2 or 3 years, and probably it's a vintage you might want to invest in before the 21s come on. Me and Jane Hunt are really pleased to show these wines in a coherent fashion, and it gives also the people or the trade a possibility to taste really in depth into this vintage and have an idea of different styles and of course of the different producers. So I think Benvenuto or the En Primeur delivers a lot of these positive aspects for the trade, and I'm really very keen to show these wines in this depth and width.
My impressions on 2019 Brunello are very positive. I found the wines on average very harmonious, very balanced, and all the elements come into place in the glass. The acidity, the fruit concentration, which is very high and great, and the tannins, which are always fine-grained and elegant.
This is one of the most important tastings of the year for us, to actually look at a young vintage of Brunello on release. Now the 2019s, what I love about them is that every single property seemed to have different personalities to it, and I'm going to go home with my map of Montalcino and check out where every single property was to make sure I can begin to understand why the wines taste like they do.
My big surprise with the 19s is, and it may be trivial, is the difference in color. Some of them are almost orange wines and others are really intense. Well, not intense, that's going too far, but others are really quite dark. I'm stumped for an explanation for that. I don't know why the difference is there. I'm not sure the difference in color made much difference to the taste in vodka. Overall, I'm really impressed by obviously I'm impressed by the vintage. I'm also would like to mention the huge differences in styles. There were some really decent traditional Brunello on the tables today, and there were 1 or 2 really extraordinary, I would say, deviants from Brunello. There were 1 or 2 extraordinarily international wines. I can see why they're made, and I'm sure they sell. But I'm a traditionalist with modifications, and I was disappointed by 1 or 2 wines.
The wines are ready for me to drink, so I could happily and easily have opened these wines with a nice steak or another food dish in these days, because they are ready. So overall, very good impression of wines which have fruit concentration, all the elements in place now, but very good ageability as well. So they will develop in a very nice way, so I look forward to taste some of them in the years to come.
You're asking me if 2019 is as good as 2016. On today's tasting, I'm really not sure, because it's too early to tell from the samples of the 19 I've tasted today. And I've tasted the 16 subsequently much more often. I think there's a strong possibility that it will be at least the equal of the 16. Ma vedremo.
I think there are many wines there which are rather elegant. I think the tannins are still quite strong, and certainly to say, oh, they're soft and indulgent, I don't think they are. But why would they be in Brunello di Montalcino? I think it's a fascinating vintage which I'm immediately putting down, saying I need to give that wine 5 years, I need to give that wine 10 years, I need to give that wine even more. I don't think it's an easy peasy vintage. I think it's a wine vintage with very good chance to show stunning character in about 10 years' time.